Hello learners, welcome to this session on the principles of extension education. We are all familiar with the fact that extension education is gaining momentum in the various development sectors in India as well as in developing countries. The philosophy of extension education underlies the principles of extension education, and as it gains significance, this discipline has to be learned in a more systematic way. In the previous session, we had learned about the history, evolution, and the concept of extension education. We had discussed elaborately about how the evolution took place, what is the significance of extension education in India, how the discipline is getting diversified through agricultural extension, home science extension, veterinary extension, industry extension, and many such emerging disciplines. So, keeping that in mind, it has become really essential to understand the principles of extension education if you are going to function as change agents tomorrow in the discipline of extension education. So let's move ahead with the various principles of extension education. Let us first discuss the objectives. By the end of this session, you'll be able to recapitulate the concept of extension education through the principles. You will be able to understand the principles of extension education and apply these to the improvement in the lives of people. Now, first principle and a very significant principle of extension education is the principle of interests and needs. As an extension worker, you need to begin with the interests and needs of the people, not just with the interest of the extension worker. The felt needs of people in the communities are the immediate needs in which participation and cooperation of people can be ensured. Then what are unfelt needs? Unfelt needs are not of immediate necessity for people. The extension worker or the extension agency to which you belong has to mold the needs and interests of the people into realistic needs. Needs are those that can satisfy individuals, groups, community, and national interests. Needs that can be fulfilled with the available resources, and the needs should be fulfilled first. So these are the felt needs of people. For example, a major need in villages even today is the requirement of a good doctor, a lady health practitioner, or a health worker, as health is of primary interest and importance, and it is a major human need as well. The next principle is the principle of whole family approach. So what does this signify? The title of the principle itself speaks volumes. Extension work definitely considers all members of the family without looking at gender or age. So family members have a great influence in decision making. So all the family members have to be developed. It means they have to be developed equally, and this can only happen by involving all of them in the development process. This aids collective decisions because if there is agreement between people within the household, then the decision making becomes easier for some members of the household who are involved in extension practices. So, collective decisions through involvement in the management of family profession or enterprise happens. It also helps in money management, adoption of technology for an enterprise, or the acceptability of beneficial practices like cultural practices and so on. For example, the women's cooperatives or self-help groups, SHGs as they are commonly known as, use of seasonal foods for scientific benefits in health and nutrition are examples of the whole family approach. So, another significant principle is the grassroots principle of organization. So, any kind of extension work or activity starts from the people, from the grassroots. So extension work has to follow a bottom-up approach and not a top-down approach. So for extension work to be real and effective, it has to be a good synthesis of democracy, because it would be for the people, by the people and of the people, obtained at the level of individual, family or local groups. So the extension work has to start from the people through their participation. So the program should be based on local people's preferences. You cannot just start any activity which is against people's preferences. So at the same time, this also calls for an organization at the level of the family and village community level, such as the panchayats as social institutions, involving the village panchayat, block samiti and Zilla Parishad. Likewise, youth clubs, women's groups, women's collectives and other such organizations can also play a role in organizations. A very significant principle is the principle of cultural differences. We know that India has a pluralistic society. There is a wide diversity of cultures in India. Within villages itself, there exist cultural differences. So the differences can be perceived in their way of life, habits, values, attitudes, religion and customs. You must be aware that when you go to villages, you would have observed, there's a lot of difference in cultures between people residing within a village itself, their way of eating or their way of conducting a ceremony and things like that. Different cultures, they require different approaches in extension. You cannot use just one approach to address all the different cultures together. The culture of each and every individual must be respected. You have to keep it in mind, and then it gets facilitated positively. For example, a very good example I would like to cite here is that of the Jain community, which does not consume garlic and onion. Hence, while educating them on preparing nutritious diets, these may not be included in their diets. Then comes the principle of cultural change. A lot of changes happen during the extension process. The extension worker must understand the limitations that exist in a society due to cultural values, traditional beliefs, practices, myths, and taboos of villagers. So, this you tend to identify in the beginning itself when you do a need assessment of the community, and after that, when you start your activities. Such cultural practices, sometimes they may have a negative effect on the social structure. For example, a very important example that I'd like to cite here is early marriage of girls, which happens in Indian societies even today. Efforts should be made to bring about cultural change or such practices, because in this case the adolescent girl's health will not be affected due to childbearing immediately after marriage. So as cultural changes are happening, it will also enable you as an extension worker and your team to adjust to the different types of changes that are happening during the process. You become aware of the changes or the transformation that is happening between people in the community, the way they are changing their social practices, which are hampering or creating a negative effect in their lives, and at the same time you're also accepting and changing according to their changes, and also making further modifications for their betterment, bringing out more changes for their betterment. The principle of continuous education process, like we have already discussed in the previous session, extension education is an ongoing and continuous process. It is not a time-bound activity because extension work does not end. The problems and solutions related to extension are very dynamic in nature. So the needs and the training needs of people in the community and their resources keep changing again and again. Hence, extension becomes very dynamic in nature, the extension education process. So extension is a continuous education process. Moreover, the resources today are shrinking. We can see a lot of resources getting depleted. in our rural areas and tribal areas. So, in order to make do with the existing resources and for their sustainable management and their development, extension is a continuous education process and it has to continue. It can never end. The principle of cooperation. This is a very popular principle of extension education. Extension as a process cannot go on without cooperation. Most members of the village community will willingly cooperate in carrying out a project in which they make a collective decision to undertake. So, if people in a community are decided to undertake a certain project for their own betterment, for their own use and benefit, then they will willingly cooperate to do that activity. Here comes the importance of the principle of cooperation. So, this also enhances their support for each other, their sharing of ideas, and strengthening mutual bonding. The we and us feeling gets stronger due to bonding happening from cooperation. In the experiences from many countries, people have become very confident and dynamic. Why? Because they were allowed to take decisions related to their own lives. They were made responsible and they exercise responsibility of their own lives to do certain activities, and they are helped to carry out projects in their own villages. So this has increased their confidence, decision making power, and their willingness to cooperate further for the betterment of their families and communities. The principle of voluntary participation. So, in the previous principle, we had discussed about cooperation. Voluntary participation and cooperation, they go hand in hand. Extension education is successful when people willingly participate in extension programs. You cannot force anybody to participate in a particular program if it goes against her or his wishes. Nobody will positively participate then if they are forced to do, and they will also lose interest in the process. So, you as an extension worker need to keep motivating them to participate in programs which are meant for their betterment and to enhance their economic capacities, their social capacities, and their good health. People need to be motivated to participate. Once they voluntarily participate, they will understand the benefits of the program better and will participate even more positively. This will facilitate the extension educator's work as well. The principle of indigenous technical knowledge. Often we as extension workers think that the knowledge that already exists in the villages is not of much relevance, but we need to understand that the indigenous technical knowledge has benefits. Extension workers should understand the importance of using this as an existing community resource by identifying the logical reason and benefits for people when they use this knowledge. Indigenous technical knowledge that is developed and preserved for generations by local people, if found suitable by the extension worker, can be promoted by extension workers, as new technology may not be suitable for local people who might not be able to use it or may not be ready to use it. They may not be receptive also to use that new technology. Hence, the extension worker should try to make use of the indigenous technical knowledge which is already existing in the local situation and apply it. For example, the use of scarecrows in the fields, we even see them today. Similarly, the use of different methods of traditional methods of food preservation. So, all these are very, very useful and they can be harnessed and promoted. The principle of learning by doing and seeing is believing. We need to understand that when we see something, we believe it. And when we do something, we tend to learn the process. So, motivation for improvement must come from people themselves and they must participate and practice new ideas by actually doing them. Extension workers can play a major role in encouraging people to learn new things by making them participate directly. And in the process of doing the practice themselves, they will never forget how to do that process. For instance, making something very, very nutritious. So, learning by doing principle is applied while conducting method demonstration. Suppose you teach a group of women or men how to prepare a diet which is very nutritious for adolescent girls or for small children. So they will learn this process through the method demonstration process, which is a very famous process used in extension education. Seeing is believing principle applies to the extension method of result demonstration, where you show the result of the entire method. So they see the result and they believe that this is achievable and this is possible and we can also make this. For example, preparing an iron-rich dish from spinach grown locally by women who have anemia to increase their hemoglobin levels. The principle of leadership, this is a very, very salient principle of extension education. Without this, extension would go very, very haywire or unstructured. Extension education calls for the development of local voluntary leadership. So in every society, every community, there exist local leaders who are the guardians of local thought. Many people tend to follow their advice or listen to them, and they follow them for action and can be best trained as interpreters of new ideas to villagers. So these local leaders can be best trained to transfer new ideas to villagers. They can be taught by extension workers. These leaders can be taught how to translate this knowledge to village people. Leaders or potential leaders who might be leaders tomorrow exist in all communities. An environment should be created to permit and encourage their development and performance. We also have old organized groups and leaders in villages who should also be considered in the promotion of change. If new functions are given to them, this will certainly lead them to share the role of leadership with others. For example, the role of village leaders or key persons in dissemination of farm technologies. The principle of coordination and collaboration. So these two aspects within this principle go hand in hand. To make any kind of profession useful and successful, it needs to be coordinated with other stakeholders involved in a profession. This happens in any organization or any company. The same holds true for extension also. Collaboration is also very important in extension education for effective achievement of its objectives. For example, collaboration with scientists, labs, and government for adoption of a technology, and then you as an extension worker can help in coordinating all the activities by engaging all stakeholders, including the village people. The next principle is the principle of adaptability in the use of teaching methods. Extension agents need a large number of teaching methods from which they can select and modify the one method that's effective and best suited to the culture of people. So a lot of methods, teaching methods which are used by extension workers are not a one size fit all. I mean, there are different methods for different groups of people. No single teaching method is effective under all situations. For example, demonstrations are not suitable to all situations as not all beneficiaries may be able to come for the demonstration. Similarly, reading material is not suitable to all as not all are literate. And similarly, radio programs are also for those who have radios, not for those who do not have radios, and so on. So new methods must be devised to meet new situations and new conditions. So being an extension worker, extension specialist, a change agent, you need to work in a very flexible manner based upon the resources which the community has. Also, in the use of teaching methods, there should be flexibility to be adopted to community members who differ in terms of education, age, gender, and who are also receptive to change. The principle of applied science and democratic approach. So the problems of people are taken to the scientists. Here comes the principle of applied science, the role of applied science. So extension education, like we already have discussed, is an applied science which draws from different sciences and social sciences and also behavioral sciences. So the problems of people are taken to the scientists who experiment and find out solutions. The extension worker translates the scientific findings of the laboratories in such a way that beneficiaries can voluntarily adopt them to satisfy their own needs. Extension, being democratic both in philosophy and practice, puts before the participants all possible alternative solutions, mutual discussions regarding merits, which are done whether what is beneficial or not with beneficiaries, and then people are free to decide what their line of action is, whether they are going to accept this method, practice this method, adopt it with their own resources in their local situation and the available government assistance. The principle of information communication technology, promotion and usage. So a lot of principles are based upon the contemporary changes in development that are happening in the country today. So today is the age of information communication technology, popularly known as ICT, and the Digital India campaign has made enormous efforts for internet penetration to all parts of the country, including rural areas. Many households today are having access to gadgets and broadband connectivity. This enables extension agents to help people access ICT, its promotion and usage for helping fulfill people's needs and of their professions or enterprises. For example, the use of mobile phones to get updates on the parts of a machine, seed availability, cost of manure, medicines, technology, weather reports, and whatnot. The principle of trained specialists. The challenge for an extension worker is to be updated with the latest research developments in all branches of science for the beneficiary people. However, this is not always and humanly possible. So trained specialists from research institutes are the ones who extend information to the extension worker regarding the latest scientific developments in a particular area, which will have scope for adoption in particular areas in the villages. Then comes the principle of self-help groups. You must be aware about how the self-help groups have created a revolution in India by extending credit to women who would like to work in cooperatives. So the self-help groups, popularly known as SHG, are a major success in India, particularly the self-help group bank linkage program. Self-help groups have benefited lakhs of women in making them self-reliant and bankable. These have to be further strengthened and expanded all across India, as women are the major contributors to the economy of the nation. They have credit needs when they need to use any technology to their own benefit and for their own upliftment and empowerment. The principle of satisfaction. Of course, this is a major principle because all the extension work has to lead to satisfaction of the people. The work of extension aims at the satisfaction of people. Its success lies when people are satisfied with the end product. This can be achieved when people derive full satisfaction through adoption of innovations which are well suited to their needs and resources. For example, satisfaction derived from the use of mobile phone to understand money transfer through Paytm or Google Pay. The principle of evaluation. This is the last principle of extension education, but nevertheless as significant. By obtaining feedback from beneficiaries, the extension worker will be able to make corrections or modify the practices in the communities. Evaluation helps in determining progress and achievement of objectives of that particular extension work. This also helps in improvements in future course of time. You must be familiar with this discussion which happened in the previous session, where we had discussed about extension education process, and the last step of the process was evaluation. So you can refer to that video and come back to this part of our session. So this brings us to the end of this session, and I'd like you to do a small activity where you can just pick up any 5 principles of extension education of your liking. Look at a rural community in your vicinity or an urban slum community in your vicinity and try to find out ways and means. Jot down at least 20 points as to how you are going to achieve extension education as a change agent for that particular community through these 5 principles. With this, I'd like to wind up my session and thank you for a patient listening.